Hey guys, I'm so excited for this beachside Ensenada, Playa de Crocodilo in Mexico on the Pacific coast. I have browns, a palette of browns, burnt sienna, raw umber, and quin orange, which is like a burnt orange. I'm also going to use sap green, a little ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, and some lemon yellow to mix in. I'm using 140-pound Arches paper, Princeton watercolor brushes. I'm going to use size 6 and 4 and Daniel Smith paints. So let's get started. Let's wet the background, the sky, and glistening but not soaking wet. And then let's drop in some cerulean blue. And we will strengthen it at the top of the sky and let it kind of fade on down to the bottom. I had a little bug get into my thing, so let's get that out. You guys will see that this video looks like I'm crazy caffeinated. I did speed it up to 1.5 times speed because I was making a lot of decisions as I painted this and I just didn't want it to be dragging for you guys. So if you need to pause it while we're going, feel free to pause it and just start again. So I tapped out a few clouds with a paper towel. It's a really good method for lifting color. And then let's wet our back cliff area. And then also the front with the foliage. And then I mixed up a tan color, kind of light tan, and I'm going to wash that in first. We're going to do a lot of different layering of darks and lights and stuff back here. But let's go ahead and get the tan in first, the lighter color. And then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to that mixture just to get a little warmer tone towards the front, kind of sandy. And then I'm going to add a little burnt orange to the bottom and just kind of define the bottom area a little bit. I'm start planning out the greens, but I'm not going to do too much with the greens just yet. Then there's that little outcrop of land there, and then the beach. So diagonally, I'm going to just get that blocked in a little bit. And then while this is wet up in the top cliff area, let's put in some darker brown. This is a raw umber. And then add some of that towards the bottom. And then diagonally. And put in a little bit of reddish brown as well, burnt sienna. And I'm kind of focusing on going diagonally and then deepening the areas that are where it sort of curves in, land curves in a little bit. And just make it look like it has some depth. And then at the front, we'll make our strongest tones and then our most detail. So obviously anything up close to us is going to show a lot more detail. So we're going to do that. We'll have at the end, we'll have a couple of stalks of a plant that are kind of strong. And then the rest is going to be kind of off to the distance. So I have a Payne's Gray and I'm just putting in this little island back here, a light Payne's Gray. If you don't have Payne's Gray, it's like a lightish blue gray. You could make a ultramarine blue with burnt sienna and make a nice gray, or a couple of complements together and make a nice gray. So you can, and I'm just rubbing that in to make some of it a little bit deeper back here. And then I'll add a little bit to the sides of this little landmass. And then now my fave, we are going to get into turquoise blue. So mix up a turquoise blue. I have phthalo blue and phthalo green, but you could also mix up your own turquoise with the green and blue. Really good idea to sort of try to plan out some
And
of
I'm
the
going to make the
lights
darkest part of that to the
just to
back.
break up some areas and add
And then
interest
just
and give it a
sort of,
watercolor
this is
look.
wet
So
and dry.
for
I
sure,
didn't
we're
wet
going to
the
leave
seed
some white
first.
up towards up against the sand.
And I'm trying to preserve a little
And
bit
then
of the white
we'll
around the
we'll look at
landmasses.
where some others make sense.
And
Okay, I'm
of
mixing
course,
in an
I just didn't.
ultramarine
So do
blue
better than I did and try
and
to
just putting
preserve
that in a
some of
couple
that
areas
white.
of the sea where I
I'm
feel
still
like it
learning, guys.
needs
A
it.
white paint marker at the end is my best friend.
And then I'm adding a little bit more. You can't see it because it's mixing off the palette, off the screen. But I'm getting a good strong turquoise, like a dark turquoise color. A lot of, see the green, there it is, a little green, a little blue, until it's a strong, nice turquoise, dark. And I'm gonna use that under this little land area. And then in some of our land areas back here, underneath, just to give it a really good look. And you can drag some of that like shadowing out into the sea a little bit. So that's gonna look really good. And then I am going to start to add a little bit of that. I want to darken back here a little bit and start to add a little bit of green. So I have like a little lemony yellow green, and I'm going to get a darker green as well and just put in green towards the left and then underneath. And then that's mixing with the blue, and that's all looking good. And we're going to have to leave that area for a while because it's wet. And then I'm adding just a little bit more of like a plain blue, ultramarine blue, and deepening a little bit of areas of the sea. And now I've got this nice lilac-y purple, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in the middle because I put the photo through a photo filter and watercolor photo filter so I can get an idea of what it might look like to break up some of the realism and get some interesting colors, trying to be a little bit more expressionist. And it threw in some purples for me. I love that. I love that you can just kind of, it's realistic enough, but then simulate some cool colors and effects. Either you can full on do that or just add touches like I am here, little purples in places where you wouldn't expect it. And then let's do some darker green around the top of the foliage areas. So that's going to define the top of this little hill over the water. And then let's add some different, we're not making anything specific, any foliage or any shapes, but let's just have distinct shapes up in the front. Lots of different browns, couple of different burnt siennas, lots of different things. And while we have burnt sienna on the brush, I'm going to add some to that back couple areas of that cliffside. And then bring a little bit of that down. And don't forget, we're preserving the white. Right behind this purple area, we're leaving a line of white. So it can be the sea as it comes up to the shore. And I'm just pulling, I'm kind of mixing it a little bit into the purple, underneath it a little bit, light brown tan with a little yellowy tone that is for the sand. And then I just mixed up a couple of darker greens. So I have a green that I darkened with a little bit of brown, added even a little bit of dark purple to a green. And I'm putting this in just different places towards the front. I'm mixing up lots of different shades of green. I want to have 3 or 4. And this one's a nice, just neutrally green. And then just dabbing that in some areas in the front. And I'm actually going to put a little bit along the back too. So I really like the neutral. And then adding that to a couple places. Again, we're not making like any specific foliage. We're just putting in a hint the suggestion of what all this is. Okay, so take that neutrally green, and I'm going to put a little green back in, sap, and then have a couple different shades of that, and just make a couple of shapes here, dab in some foliage looking, just tap that in. And then just a couple of areas down here. And this is a mystery color up here because I'm mixing it off the screen. So who knows? You'll have to guess. Guess what I'm mixing. Did you guess a little lemon yellow in it? Then you were right. I put in a little lemon yellow into the green because that'll warm up this area a little bit. So I put a tiny bit of lemon yellow into sap green. And then so that part in the front is going to kind of, again, warm it up and give it a nice, so we have a lot of cool colors in this. Okay, back to these guys, these colors, because I ran out. So I have burnt sienna and raw umber. And I make a little combo of those and go back and strengthen the land back there, the hills. I'm just concentrating on kind of, again, doing it like diagonally so that it looks like it's indented in places and it follows a little bit of a line up. And we'll drop that in a couple places in the front too. And then we're mixing up another mystery color. You have to guess. Guess the color. If you guessed a blue, a turquoise blue, you're right. I added a little bit more turquoise. I had run out. And I'm just going to strengthen some of the areas of the sea. And then get some in the back. And then you can bring it out from the land and give it kind of a nice realistic looking shadow. Okay, now I'm going to darken a few areas back there. I hope you guys are loving it. I'm ready to pack my bags. I'm so excited to go. We're visiting over the holidays. Hyatt all inclusive. I'm a big Hyatt fan. I do travel card points. We're going for free. We do a lot of free travel. I feel so lucky. It's all about organization with the travel points game. Okay, let's do a little bit more of our green. And what I'm doing is just glazing the green color over the top. So it's a really light. So this area is dry now. This part of the sea is dry. So I'm just glazing a green, which is like a super light mix. Mostly just a tiny thing and just glazing it across the top. And then I'm going to darken back here with the turquoise. And then get a little bit of my deeper brown. I'm mixing the raw umber with the burnt sienna. Dabbed it off on a paper towel so it wasn't too soaking wet. I'm just creating a couple of darker sort of shapes and spots in the front, and then another strength. And this is like our third or fourth round of strengthening the shadows back here. But that's the best plan, going light to dark and just add in where we need it. kind of stepping back after each round of the shadowing and seeing if you like the way that it's going. And then I'm going to add some more of our lilac purple. We lost a little bit of that in the drying. And I'm just filling in some of the areas back here so we don't have a bunch of huge gaps. Just a couple more bits of foliage, super light green. And I'm just really tiny dabbing, kind of glazing that in there. Super light. And then you can just keep a lot of this open too. We do want to have a bunch of open space. And ideally open white space. I'm gonna add that in with the pen at the end, but I'll get better. I will get better. So I'm just putting a little darker color towards the front, darker brown. And that's gonna dry a little bit lighter. It won't be such a high contrast what we see right now. And then a little bit towards the left of the beach. A little bit of darker brown. And I'm just adding a little bit of a light tan. I'm getting one more swipe across the beach. And just a couple areas are a little bit darker than others, but I'm just mostly keeping it a light tan. And then this is where you follow what I say and not as I do. So what I would say is don't overwork something. Don't keep going back and second guessing and mess with everything. Be confident, get in and get out. I have a video where I said that. And I'm not getting in or getting out. I have a joke. It's like Target. You want to get in and get out before you spend too much money. If I keep going back to this landmass back there, it is like going into Target and never coming out because you are going to put everything in your cart. But yeah, do get in and get out. And then last area, but not least, I'm going to make a super dark green. So you can do your green, you can add some brown, you can add some dark purple, even some red. It's the complementary across the way. I don't want to make it a brown or dull the green. I just want it super dark. And then we'll just add the little plant at the front and give it a little interest because it's right there. I'm just making some spiky succulent type plant. Nicely done. And that just makes it kind of draws our eye into it because it's coming in from outside the picture frame, which is nice. I like scenes and vignettes that have something kind of coming in, whether it's a brand or something. And then last but not least, I'm strengthening a few of these areas that had a little bit of a greenish, and I'm glazing a greenish bluish in those parts. And then a little bit more of our ocean color. Hopefully you guys are excited with how it is looking. Yours. I'm ready to pack my bag at this point. I haven't been to the Pacific coast of Mexico, Baja Peninsula. I bet it's amazing. I bet it's a little rockier coast than the beaches in Cozumel and Cancun. Okay. Again, I really, I keep telling you guys need to tell me to get in and get out to follow my own advice, but I'm going back one more time. I felt like I needed a little bit more, even just a little. You guys can assess. You step back and look at your own. If right now you feel like you've developed enough light, medium, and dark, then leave it. Now, here's my secret sauce is the white paint marker, guys. Until I become expert at leaving the white space, I kind of sometimes go in and see where I need to add some at the end. Just break up a couple of areas. We definitely want a little where the foam I did because my foam had gotten a little bit washed in with the brown and purple. So I'm adding a little more foam there. A couple of places in the sea, here and there, not much. Ideally, I could have done that by dry brushing and leaving the white, but I didn't. And I'm not mad about it because I have this white paint marker. And I'm going to go on in, get a couple of areas, put a couple of white, just kind of breaking up some parts in different places. Kind of if you would look at the filter of a watercolor over the top and you see where it makes sense to have some broken up space and just really be able, our eye will fill in the rest. It's nice to have those little gaps. I even think it's fun to put little dots on these plants. Just going ham right now. We're going to do everything. We're going to throw everything at this. So I'm just softening it out, but I hope you guys like it. One of the things I love to do at the end too is put a little pearlescent white, and that's a little shimmer. So I'm going to do that when I'm totally done. I hope you guys loved it. I hope you're going to frame it, give it to a friend. Keep in mind your next travels that are coming up. And I will see you next time for another fun and easy tutorial.